So, hello everyone. My name is Reverend Bobbi. I'm the Senior Minister of Namaste and Seal Beach Center for Spiritual Living. I'm here with Reverend John.
And I am Reverend John, and I am the coach, consultant, interim for Namaste and Seal Beach Center for Spiritual Living.
And in the back room, he's the incidental shaman, but that's for another time. Really glad to have these conversations with John. Today we're going to continue to talk about our values. We've done safety. We launched into extraordinary respect last week, and today we're going to talk about extraordinary respect without an agenda. Right now,
Can you do that?
I know. Right now, our two communities have come together, and we're exploring what this new name could be. And the requirements from home office are, of course, that it's Center for Spiritual Living with a geographic designator, and there's lots of expectations and attachments, and people are feeling like, I want my name to be it. And it's really, though, been quite beautiful to watch people look at things they need to embrace and release and let go of. And John and I want to talk today about how do we set aside that agenda and practice extraordinary respect. And one of the things we talked about was extraordinary respect has to be partnered up with compassion.
And so one of the things that we look at is what gets in the way of that. Mm-hmm. And as Reverend Bobbi just said, it's very often it's an agenda, either an agenda or a expectation or an attachment that we have to how things should be or how we expect them to be. And it can lead us down a path of being resistant to any other suggestions that anybody else might have. And so there's no opportunity to really be curious and open us up to extraordinary respect for what else is unfolding in this process.
One of the things that's kind of a great metaphor for this is how we as a culture manage and care for our watersheds. In the state of California, it's really interesting watershed management. It's a very limited way of managing. It's managing the watershed that I'm most interested in, and even further delineated is part of the watershed that most affects me. And when you look at watershed management with respect to the fact that managing a watershed requires us to manage it from the point of origin to its end point. And if we're only caring about our portion of it, we're not really caring for the watershed. We're really attached to an outcome, a result, and or a benefit, a personal benefit to myself. The same happens with extraordinary respect. When I show up with extraordinary respect, am I thinking about what's in the highest and best for myself and anyone else I engage with? Or am I attached to getting what I need or getting what I think I need and what I want, as if that's the answer?
Yeah, the watershed is a great analogy because it depends on who's using it. Mm-hmm. And so there's a recreational use, there's an agricultural use, there's a consumption use in terms of drinking, and each of those parties has a separate agenda and different expectations about having the right to use it a certain way.
And of course, each one of those groups wants to make sure that their use is cared for, not necessarily are they concerned about the use anywhere else. I can't say that universally. It's just kind of how we do things as humans. When I show up in community, no matter what my role is, if I'm the minister or a board member or a team leader or a team member, or I just attend on a Sunday, do I actually think that how I am in community doesn't matter? How I show up, how I treat another, or even in this whole naming, as an example. Do I want my name to be the name that is the one selected, and what happens when I don't get my choice? And can I surrender or open up to the fact that something's happening? The very process of letting go of attachments, expectations, or what I think should happen is exactly why we're in community.
And it's interesting when we talk about letting go of attachments or expectations. I'd like to look at that a little bit differently in terms of we can still honor those attachments that we have. But what is our reaction in terms of letting them go? Well, we get emotionally attached to the whatever our expectation is. Can we honor the fact that the other person is equally passionate about their expectations about what the name should be or how we should be in community or the water use?
Which means if when I show up and I do have a particular attachment, maybe there's something good in there that needs to be expressed. Even if, for example, if I'm struggling, am I speaking that struggle? Am I speaking what that issue is? Because unless I do that, it stays hidden and it stays embedded in my own process, in my own system. And am I showing up in a way that allows those attachments to be revealed, healed, and or let's just say, for example, I have an attachment that whatever the name is expresses diversity. Is that a bad attachment?
No.
Not really. But can I express what that is so that it's out there so that maybe others go, that's something important to consider?
Well, especially can we do it without the emotional charge? Because that's where things break down. And so one of the ways to move through that is to have what we often call interrupting strategies. So can we be present, feeling our expectation, and yet be aware of it so that if it moves us to become very emotionally charged, can we move into heart coherence, taking a deep breath? Can we recall our experience in mindfulness? Can we think about the 4 agreements and look at, okay, I do have this issue here, but how can I stay open and receptive to what is wanting to emerge? So it's spiritual practice.
It is, because whenever I express something like that, can I express it without a blame? Can I express it without attaching a particular group or anyone as responsible, but look more towards how do we want to be going forward so that we can be more of what we want to be? The past is important, but it doesn't necessarily, as we say, the precedent isn't based upon the past. The precedent is based upon how I can see the future, my current present even.
And so as we move into that, can we imagine that no one and nothing is against you?
I think that's a great segue to concluding this video, which is how can I bring that extraordinary respect into the processes that we're opening up to as community, whether it's welcoming, whether it's being on platform, whether it's sitting in the row and looking around and paying attention to what's happening around me. How can I bring a level of extraordinary respect that is open to evolving and shifting and expanding?
And that comes down to just trusting that there's something inside of you that knows exactly how to do it.
Wonderful. John, thanks for being with me today. I look forward to doing this next week again, and we'll continue to have the conversations on the values that our communities our one community now has selected as we move forward into that one name and that one being as we see what unfolds going forward. So thanks for being with us. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Reverend Bob. Thank you.
You bet.